Welcome to a review of the updated Audi Q2. All about this facelift here on our channel in exterior, interior and the driving experience. And we also have an everyday model for you here today. Not the highest spec, a more realistic vehicle. We also show you the high spec as a comparison, but here a more realistic vehicle for you because you requested that. Let's now go with everything you need to know in full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go. In the front, the new Audi Q2 with this facelift has a flatter front grille, single frame, really wide for a rather small vehicle, the small crossover of small SUV. Then we also see here the new design style for the inside of the grille, here with the bright frame around. There are also different stylings available, also new styling in the lower bumper right there, so a little bit more modern this look. LED headlamps are now standard. Optional matrix LED, you can also see them right here. So this car does have some options, yes, but really not all that are available. We also give you a detailed tour then throughout the options. This one also not the S-Line, so the base look, so to speak, but you also can get a sportier S-Line look if you like. When you have the matrix LED option, you also receive the cascading turning indicators here already in the front. Pretty spectacular. The length is at 4.21 meters. 13'8" or 166 inches. That's 2 centimeters longer than before because of the new spoilers that are a little bit sportier even in the base version. Here we have the base 17-inch wheels, the smallest ones available. Therefore it looks a little bit more balloonish, but I think it already works visually wise, it's okay. But 19-inch is also optionally possible, so 17, 18, 19-inch, then have a more menacing look, but of course also maybe some comfort losses, so this one here is best for comfort. As for suspension, you can either get a base suspension, that's also in here, then you get a fixed sport suspension, minus 10 millimeters, or the adaptive suspension. The adaptive suspension gives you the best comfort. However, if you stick with the smaller wheels, you can also stick with the base suspension, because then you have, enough dampening comfort and can also save some money. But the best comfort again would be the adaptive suspension. Interesting that we have the crossover wheel arches here, but they are not black and plain, but painted then here in this dark scheme. So this looks a little bit more sophisticated, especially in the contrast here with the white color. And design-wise, main dropping line on the height of the door handles, and then a very interesting design element right here. This this area that then dissolves into one design line here once again. So this car is really playing with design lines still, has been since the introduction. In the rear, a typical hatch style here from this Volkswagen AG MQB platform, which the Audi Q2 is also based on. Modern tail lamp signature right here, and then with this facelift, get a new, more modern spoiler in the lower part, contrasting style. Of course, different styles depending on the trim available. Also with this more sporty graphic right here, but this is all closed, of course. As for exhaust, that's cool actually. No fake exhaust graphic, just this crossover look right here, and the real exhaust then underneath. So we see it also works without fake exhaust. Why not? So overall, yeah, this is a small and not too expensive vehicle, considering Audi prices, but then again you already get a very unique design. And also for the tail lamps, when you have the matrix spec here, the turning indicators in a cascading style. And now the other end, basically the high trim version, this here the S-Line, sportier design elements, also the Edition 1 launch model here with black Audi rings, black frame around, quattro citations and a wider graphic here in the lower end. This is not a real air intake, just a fake graphic, so to speak. And also this aero gray color has kind of a matte scheme, but it's not a real matte color. But very interesting to see it, how the design really differs from the low trim to the high trim. This of course has a more menacing look, also with the biggest 19-inch wheels, the biggest one that are available, and also in the rear then with the sportier contrast graphic in black. Which one do you like best? Is it too much for a Q2, or would you rather go for a high trim model? Of course, you also have to think about the price, that between our low spec model and the high spec model here, yeah, you know, with all the extras included and so on, is easily about 15,000 euros or dollars difference. Engines. This is the base engine, 1 liter 3-cylinder, front wheel drive only, 110 horsepower, so the base spec engine also for you here today to keep the price lower. Then there's the 1.5 liter 4-cylinder, 150 horsepower, or the 2 liter 4-cylinder, 190 horsepower, then also with all-wheel drive. And on the diesel side, the 2 liter TDI with 116 or 150 horsepower. Key fob, rather traditional, but good in the quality. You can still fold out the real deal. Door closing sound is solid. Then instead of the doors right here, this is somewhat hard pack indeed, so that's a little bit let off, but this interesting material right here, and also then a little bit softer at the armrest, and good here. Clicking sounds for the window levers, also galvanized, that's really nice. Reasonable door pockets. And then this is here also not highest trim as for the interior spec, but a nice round styling for the steering wheel here, also with a, you know, pretty sporty styling right here. Round air vents, you close or open them right here, and also here with nice clicking sounds. This one then is soft touch here on the top part, and here bright design element also with a structure you can really feel, and also old school, rather old school for, you know, the light switches, and I really like it. This is like straightforward, exactly what you want to do or want to have. It's perfectly fine. Sooner leads to the instruments and so on. These here are the optional digital instruments, virtual cockpit. Then seats, there are base fabric seats available. These here are the sport seats, so they are a little bit sporty as for the side bolstering, also in the upper area. They look also cooler, and they offer you decent comfort, and are also available here in pure fabric. This is really cool, keeps you cool in summer and warm in winter, and this is a highly durable but yet at the same breathable fabric, so I'm really satisfied with these. Shoe tap first to get inside, and these sport seats, you really deliver you decent comfort. They are good also for tall people. 1.86 m or 6'1", enough headroom. There's also an optional panoramic roof available. But here the seating comfort is really good. You don't have the highest SUV type feeling. It's more like between SUV and crossover, but already feels more upright than in a normal small or compact size vehicle. So this rather here the compact segment. So I'm really happy with these seats. So you can also go for the sport seat form. By the way, also available with a microfiber share, for example. Then manual control of the steering wheel, good smooth process, and really goes wide up and down and towards you and so on. So although it's not the biggest car, you can already find a very decent position right here. You can pump it all up, y'all, like this. And also then manual control here, front and back. There are also electric seats available, but I mean, as I said, it's cool that we can also show a car that does not have everything. And for what it offers here, you know, already actually quite decent. So I'm really happy with the front cockpit here. Interior overview with a rather classic styling. Soft touch dashboard, and here more round vents again. The nice clicking sounds and so on. Audi badge right here. It's also an interesting structure, and once again, all the buttons are so well processed. You have the acoustic feedback here, for example, for the drive select, which will have more, more effect when you have the adaptive suspension, because then the suspension adapts to the drive modes. Then a classic AC unit right here. My favorite one, also with the clicking sounds once again, and so straightforward to use. The central screen here, it cannot be pulled in, it's just on and off, but there's like an off function at least available. Either 7-inch smaller one, or this one here, the 8.3-inch optional, both with Apple CarPlay or Android Auto support. And on the left side you start with analog gauges, and optional these 12.3-inch digital instruments, virtual cockpit, zoom or deals to both of the screens. Steering wheel here is now when you have the assistant systems package, also capacitive, that you just touch the steering wheel and then the car knows you're still there for the assistant systems. Right side here with the volume control, left side to control the digital instruments, and everything is really, really straightforward how to use this vehicle. That's what I like. It's a more old school approach, but honestly, the more old school approach is sometimes even better. The key here still to be put in the steering column here in the classic style, in this case then here. Lower part, smartphone connection USB-A. The place to put your smartphone is a little bit, yeah, you know, I don't know, that's maybe a little bit doubtful, but you could also put out these cup holes and then put it in here. This would be possible, but then you have no cup holders left, so yeah, have to decide about that. Then manual volume control in the lower area. Here today with the manual transmission. Of course, you can also get automatic gearboxes for this vehicle with the S-Tronic. And then this lower control knob here, MMI, also again with the clicking sounds, because there's still no touchscreen for this vehicle, but you can control it very well while driving. So can argue pro and con definitely, and some hotkeys. And then we also have this armrest right here, nice fabric cover, well attached and underneath. There's more USB-A charging here for a second smartphone, for example, but there's also an inductive charging pad underneath. The virtual cockpit here, crystal clear view, really cool. You can control what you want to see on the inside, for example, also part of the map, but then you're also flexible to switch the whole view like this to have the map all over the place. And you can also zoom in and out just with your left thumb. Again, that's actually it was a technology stage where we see everything is easy to control, still with manual knobs and so on, but we already have digital integration. I think a very good solution. And details to the screen right here. You see here, this would be again more relevant when you have the S-Tronic dual clutch transmission for the shifting characteristic, or also then for the adaptive suspension. And that main menu is actually quite easily done. GPS looks like this. To put in the address, for example, you can also write, for example, that wasn't B. So in this lower touchpad, that would be possible, or just take a look at the map directly, like this. Also with a nice satellite view. You can also deactivate it if you want to have a better overview for that. That would be possible. But again, straightforward, I think. Apple CarPlay integration works like this. There's no touch then here available. That is unusual for the Apple CarPlay then. However, you can still control it very well while driving, especially with this MMI knob. And then different sound systems are available. Let's just listen here to our current one. And yeah, even the more basic one is actually already quite good. Now to the rear compartments. Here we go. Also hard pack right here, but softer than right there. And you can see the same fabric styling also for the rear seats, and looks actually quite good. Nothing too fancy, but also nice. Again, this feels really good from the surface as well. And let's see what about the legroom we have right here. It's not too long, this vehicle, but it exactly fits when I'm also driving here in the front. Again, 1.86 meters or 6'1". And headroom wise, also, yeah, really fits quite well. You can even put a hand over my head. That's still possible. So it works for 4 tall adults. Of course, not abundance of space, but typical basically for the compact segment. Isofix at the outside. There's no, armrest here, but on the middle part you could theoretically also sit. And yeah, that gets really close for the legs then, so maybe just for emergency situations, also with the headroom it gets really close, and if someone would be next to me, yeah, that's really close. But for the outside parts it's no problem, and 12-volt power supply here in the rear and the middle part. This is more a basic building style here, but overall I think we really see in this car that has a very solid build quality and more, these classic solutions with a lot of knobs and buttons and so on. And since meanwhile we have so many more modern cars with all the touchscreen all over the place, this is actually more a welcoming change once again. Now to the trunk. We also have the manual trunk here today, but it's just fine. 405 liters up to 1050 liters. That's in the maximum setup. I already did the 2/3 split here, 2/3, 1/3. Underneath you have more space, for example, also for a replacement tire. and actually quite square dimensions. I can also put a backpack here inside. You can see also fits in just here in the upright way. And then also some measures. Like this, the normal trunk length is just under 80 centimeters. And the width here, right here, yeah, is about a meter. So that's actually quite okay. And the height up to the cover would be about, yeah, just under 45 centimeters. And the total height, yeah, is just under 70 centimeters. And last one missing here, the absolute length to the seat as I would be seating. We have all the way folded flat, and this is about 1 meter and 50. Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge with the Audi Q2 in this update here, and we're driving the 1 liter TSI 3-cylinder engine, front-wheel drive only, 110 horsepower, so it's the base entry-level engine. Also then with the manual gearbox, so the most base spec you can get. And the one thing was, you know, you guys told us, hey, try to show some more basic vehicles. Most of the time the manufacturers try to show all they've got. You can also understand that. But then we told Audi, hey, some of our viewers really want to see more, you know, more realistic vehicles. And they said, yeah, okay, we try to change that and also offer that to you. So this is how feedback works. You know, you tell us something, we can go to the manufacturers, and that's becoming reality then. So yeah, that's why you're also part here of our community. So first of all, some city driving here. Back to the second gear. Great progressive steering. The Audi Q2 comes standard with progressive steering. What does it mean? So you can keep your hands on the steering wheel all the time, especially when you have the automatic gearbox, so you don't have to like grab around, because here slalom style is really good, really precise, no dead angle area, so everything is directly transported to the road. And yet at the same time, if you park in and out, you never have to like turn it 3 times around. Progressive means that it also increases the feedback and is a really cool characteristic. It feels natural, but at the same time, it's just very comfortable to steer this car around. That's really cool. The base suspension is also just fine, especially in combination with the 17-inch wheels. So that's soft enough, and you know, it is not then adaptive reacting to situations, but the car still, you know, remains upright, and it's also most comfortable then as for the base suspension setup with the 17-inch wheels. That's no problem. So you can also really go with this setup if you want to save some money, no problem at all. If you want bigger wheels, then you could go for the adaptive suspension. The adaptive suspension gives you a better variety between sportiness and comfort, and depending on the driving mode. And in general also gives you more comfort also in the base comfort mode. And then you could, for example, also go with 18-inch wheels without losing too much comfort. That works. Here again, see, don't have to turn the steering wheel that much when being in this roundabout. Getting out, once again, a sporty driving feeling. So it is somewhat fun also to drive this vehicle. It will be a little bit more fun when you go, for example, adaptive suspension and put it to the sports mode. Then you can have some, you know, sportier driving moment for that. Of course, also the more powerful engines will be a little bit more fun to drive, but when you rather roll, for example, and drive it calmly, you can also live with the small engine. We start with city driving here, we head out to the motorway right now to show also some more of the acceleration of this vehicle, if this small engine is enough then for these situations. It is a turbo, so you can always get something more out of this turbocharger than when you rev it up. Yeah, and manual gearbox is also just fine, so there's not too much resistance, but yet at the same time you get a feedback when putting in the gears. The shifting lever also sticks out enough that you don't have to, you know, reach down too far or something. So overall, I think a very comfortable setup. And again, the straightforward user interface, it's not the newest one, but Michelle and I really agreed that it's cool. We have so many cars now which are super fancy, info touchscreen here, touchscreen there, and we also appreciate new technologies, but only if they're really helpful. For example, a capacitive steering wheel, which is now integrated when you have the assistance system package here, is good. Then you don't have like these false positives, so the car knows when you touch the steering wheel and doesn't say like, oh, you're not doing anything anymore, I have to go back from this level 2 autonomous driving mode. So this is like technology advancement, but sometimes when you make the user interface more complicated, that's not really like technological progress. And here, controlling the temperature while driving is just so easy and straightforward, and that's what we really appreciate. Or when I control these cool digital instruments while driving with the manual buttons, that's a good interface, you know. We have technology, yes, but at the same time we have something which is adapted to the human body, and the human body does not react to something that doesn't give you like a real feedback or so, you know. Here again, good sporty fun. Now accelerating out a little bit, second gear, put in third gear. The 3-cylinder engine actually sounds quite good. So sometimes it sounds sportier than the 4-cylinder engine. Yeah, why not? Of course, I would, when I can spend a little bit more money, rather go for the 4-cylinder, because then you can keep it at lower RPMs. For the long-term durability, that might be a better choice than when you have an engine that has a little bit higher displacement figure, but you keep it at lower RPMs, for example, then it's actually a little bit more suitable than keeping with the low displacement and keep it at high RPMs. It's just more stress to the engine. And now, well, let's drop behind a little bit, show you something of acceleration, 50 to 100, let's go. Plop, that's it. So you see, need to push it really. There's not much happening, so especially when you have these situations where you need to accelerate on the motorway, then you do lack some power with this small engine. So if you predominantly think about this vehicle as a city vehicle, getting from A to B to C to D inside the city, it's no problem. You can also go with a base spec engine. If you have more Autobahn, more motorway share in that, then you should rather think about going for the bigger engine, at least the 1.5 TSI 4-cylinder. And if you want to have some more sporty fun, and if you can of course also afford that, then rather go even for the 2-liter turbo petrol engine. If a diesel makes sense here for this small vehicle, only when you have like a high mileage per year, but then the question is if that's then like the right vehicle segment for you. But I mean, it is decently comfortable. So in the front, you wouldn't say like, oh, this is like a small car, therefore I don't have enough comfort in the front. I think it's really comfortable. These sport seats here with the fabric surface are super comfortable. Michelle also agrees, and we have like even sometimes better comfort here than we had in like some very big premium luxury cars or so. So these seats are absolutely excellent. I can just stress it again. And sometimes just the seat form and the seat surface has so much to do with the overall comfort that the car is offering. And also the whole seating position set up here is actually pretty cool. So now some motorway situations. First of all, another acceleration where we're already at speed. So I was in the second gear before, now third gear, just like this, 70 to 80, third gear. Drop, that's it, well, already 85, using the speed again. So you see, there's no explosive acceleration coming right here. You feel very well when also being here in these traffic situations. Blind spot monitor is right here. So, there's the German Blitzer. So that's the speed camera. Always have to watch out for these. The blind spot monitor very well integrated. If you have, there are different assistance systems packages. They try to simplify now a little bit. Still, the Audi configurator is so complicated. I mean, look at Tesla. They make it just easy as for configuring a car. Blind spot monitor is really cool. Assistance systems upgrades here majorly. You can set the cruise control right here. In this case here, this is also just a normal cruise control, but you can of course also get an adaptive cruise control for this vehicle depending on the assistance systems packages. And then updated that you have like the, not only longitudinal but also, the cross semi-autonomous function that it keeps you in the lane. Activate or deactivate it right here, and then depending on the grade, it keeps you here actively or less actively in the lane. Here this was reacting quite late, but sometimes also good because you don't have so much interference. And there again, blind spot monitor, and if you put the turning indicator, then it also flashes as an additional warning, so that's also well done.
So, and then again, the capacitive steering wheel as an updated function for this semi-autonomous driving function. Here now at higher speeds, so we're now 1 kilometers. Let's put it like to a reasonable autobahn speed, like to. And then people are not driving fast enough already. Welcome to Germany. We need to go to the left lane right there then to drive a little bit faster. Okay, we're at this. Listen, is it A6 all road? Guess so. Yeah, it is. So, yeah, go for that, go for that. 4th gear racing Audi Q2. Yeah. So now about 130 kilometers an hour, so like 80 miles an hour, and you still hear and feel it's reasonable silent in here. So for a compact segment vehicle, it's a good noise insulation. So also happy with that. If you put in 6th gear, you can rather than also rely on low fuel consumption. And I mean, so far this was mixed with acceleration and so on, so we're a little bit higher right there. But if I reset it now, for example, then I can also tell you what is like the minimum fuel consumption. And this is always good to know what we have as a result when we just put it, to cruise control on the motorway and so on. Maybe accelerate a little bit, because here with the small displacement engine and small horsepower, you can score really low fuel consumption when you keep it low on the RPMs, but yet at the same time the span is very wide, so when you exceed, or stress the engine and really rev it up, then the consumption goes really high. So that's also sometimes that the bigger engines not necessarily consume more fuel. It really depends on, here in the 1.5 TSI, for example, they also have cylinder on demand technology, that 2 cylinders are being shut off when they're not being used. So these technologies also, for example, help there once again. Set here the cruise control again, but again, here this is not the adaptive one, otherwise the distance to the car in front of us would be kept. But this is also the case then when we not have the highest spec vehicle. So although we have a small car, we feel quite comfortable here on the motorway. This is also not that often the case. So this Audi Q2 definitely gives you a good compromise. It's a car where you can do most things already with. You can fit 4 tall Ls in, you feel at home in the city. You can all drive on the motorway and have a decent comfort. That's also cool because of the upright seating position. It gives you a good noise insulation already. The engine, again, for the motorway, it's a little bit underpowered, I think. For the city, it will be enough. The 1.5 TSI might then be a good compromise between small and big. And when you rather let it roll and swim, so to speak, in traffic, you can score like some 5 or 6 liters on 1 kilometer, which would be then around the 40 mpg regions. That's possible, but then again, when you rather push it, then it would go a little bit higher. But I think this, 6 liters or 40 mpg plus something is a realistic figure you can reach when you drive this car, at least in a rather calm way. So overall, I think the facelift does not change too much here with the overall driving feeling of the vehicle. It's a very, very good all-rounder car, definitely. And considering Audi prices, one of the best price performance cars that Audi is offering here, and definitely also explains why this small SUV segment is still surging.
And now to our conclusion for today with the updated Audi Q2. The facelift changes, of course, not that large, but I mean, so to speak, why not? Some tweaks here and there. Of course, they don't change the car at all in a, wide scale. Then exterior, I think it's still one of the freshest Audi designs. So it's really a little bit different with this polygon style all over the place, more angular design lines and a lot of design lines. On the interior, we still see a solid build quality and also this rather old school design with the MMI knob, with classic climate dials, and well, we know new user interfaces that are really complicated. So I really appreciate to have a more classic user interface right here. Space-wise, on the interior, you get along very well. You can drive this car actually with 4 tall adults, and it's still one of the most reasonably priced Audis. Of course, not overall if you compare it to the competitors. This car here, with some of the options we have here, like 35,000 euros, but then the high spec one with automatic transmission and also the 19-inch wheels and so on, rather 50k. So of course, big difference between that. So I'm really happy that we could show you like a lower spec car here today. This is totally fine, and if you go here with the 17-inch wheels, it doesn't look that striking. But then you can also go with the normal suspension and still have a decent riding comfort. If you go with bigger wheels, then you should probably go for the adaptive suspension to even out this comfort loss then for the better looks. Overall, a very well usable car, the smallest Audi SUV, very well to use in the city, but already with a nice comfort. Also great with the sports fabric seats here. They are a good choice, both in comfort and also the visual part. So, this car here especially served Audi to gain new customers which didn't have an Audi at all before. So half of the customers of the Audi Q2 never had an Audi before. So that was a big success for them. And here with the facelift, they surely continue it, because small SUVs are still the surging segment worldwide still. The bigger one above that would be the Audi Q3. Has also been updated. You can check out that review on our channel as well as the Audi Q3 Sportback, for example. The Q3 rather than has a more SUV feeling already. This one here definitely between SUV and crossover, but you already have a little bit more comfort than the normal compact hatch. So, what do you think about our impressions for today? Tell us more about the Audi Q2 in your opinion. See you in the comment section, and see you at our next review.